Chapter 5. No hope? In the wretched prison, his cell smelt of sewage. His bed was a ramshackle pile of broken wood and straw and stinking sackcloth. He pondered his death. The captain had decided he would rather be drowned on the shoreline than spend any more time in this hole. A month passed. He lost weight. The food was deplorable. He kept hearing screams and shouts. A voice called out in the night. The next morning he heard voices. That young'un, they brought in a week ago, he hung hisself. He stood listening to the faint words, and then another voice. If I catch any of you dogs talking, I'll cut out your tongue with a saw. He knew the king tide would come as the rains came. He had a visitor a few days before the trip to the drowning beach. The young crewman, Ibby, who had spoken up, came to see him. They spoke for a while, and the captain handed him his last letter to the family. Ibby held his manacled hands and leaned close to the captain, whispering, "Won't be needing this letter, Cap. When the water gets too high, you about to say goodbye. Maybe you are out of wind. All's know you ain't sinned. So just look for air, 'cause we'll be there." He stood up, taking hold of the captain's hand, squeezing it with his thumb. The shore officer stood in Ibby's way. "What'd you talk about to that treasoner?" "Only said a few, Orson. Told him not to be scared, 'cause we'll all be thinking of him on the day you murder him. Now get out of my way, you stink." He pushed the little fat officer and climbed the stone steps to the sunlight. The planets lined up with the sun. The king tide was forming, the fastest tide of the year. The officer came to the cell with 2 armed troopers. The captain heard their boots clicking and clacking down the dingy, cobwebbed, arched stoneway. He knew they were rattling the leg irons and shackles. The key into the ungreased lock, the corroded metal latch handle squeaked as it was turning. The old wooden door groaned open. To him, all in slow motion, yet it happened so quickly. The captain was hoodwinked, and then his arms and ankles shackled with the rusty, heavy chain. The officer and his now 16 troopers cajoled and wheedled him, pushing him, and then they double-lined him down the street. He fell, and they kicked him and walloped him with wooden canes. His shirt ripped open, revealing the welts, his blood running in between the cobbles. He got to his bloody bare feet. He spat blood onto the cobbled street, then tripping, staggering to the beach. There, his hood was roughly snatched from his head. The bright sun made him clamp his eyes shut. The shackles unlocked from his bloody ankles, and the officer ordered him to be stripped naked. Then the armed guards tied him to the stake that had been pounded into the sand. The officer came forward, tying him tighter to the stake, the leather strips biting into his skin. "This is what you get for lying to the court. They know every move you make. Now you will suffer, Captain." He spoke into his ear so no one else could hear. "I've heard of your pretty wife. She will be a prize. Your anvil children will go away, never to be found, I can guarantee it. The captain's eyes were on fire. If looks could kill, the officer would have died in terrible agony. You should be tied here, but it's okay, 'cause you'll die soon in the most disgusting way. Oh, you'll know you're dying. The pain will tell you, but you'll be incapacitated. I've done nothing but save my ship and crew. However, Flick, you drew the longbow. Now beware. What goes around comes around. You'll see Karma is a bitch. The captain spat a bloody goober at him. The officer stepped back, wiping his face. You filthy treasoner. I should run you. But that would be too kind of me. But the tide is coming. He slapped the captain across the face, but the tide was already moving inshore. His new fancy white and red leather knee-high boots, now wet, he jumped back onto the dry sand. Lucky for you, the tide'll be fast. He walked away with the guards. They rattled the shackles, jeering at the captain. Give our regards to the old man of the sea. Sure, he'll give you a drink, they laughed, shaking the shackles as they left the beach. At the top of the beach, the officer lined his 6-man troop to march back to their barracks. He turned to his men to watch the tide devour the captain. They saw the fast tide come in, and the captain trying to break free of his bonds, then the sea devouring him. The officer turned to his men. To the barracks, lads.